Hello and welcome to the channel. I am here for an overview video for you guys. This is going to be a list video. This is going to be a list of all the bands that I've gotten into in 2019. Now, if you guys do remember, I did do a list video like this for 2018, and I did say in that video, because I recently went back to it, I did say that this is something I'll probably be doing from now on as the years come. So yeah, we're here in 2019, almost 2020. So I figured, why not now share all the bands that I've gotten into throughout all of 2019. Now, this list is kind of embarrassing because I only have 4 bands listed here. Yeah, I certainly got into way more bands in 2018. I don't know. I guess I didn't really look into much different bands this year due to, I guess, all the newer releases that were coming out by a lot of bands that, I was already familiar with, because 2019 was overall a great year for music. I mean, there's been a crap load of albums to come out, so yeah, I guess that would explain a lot. But 4 bands is, of course, better than no bands, and I know some people that don't get into a new band every year, so hey, it's better than that, right? But yeah, I'll be going over these bands with you guys, and yeah, I'll talk about them. So I think first up we'll start with Alice in Chains. Now, the Alice in Chains is actually a band I tried to get into in 2018 whenever they had their album Rainier Fog come out. Now, maybe the reason I couldn't get into them was because I started with that album, and I was like, nothing really special about this. Now, I do, of course, now think it's a great album, but better than their old stuff? No, I certainly don't think that. But nowadays, I do like Alice in Chains. Besides Rainier Fog, the one that really helped me get into the band was Dirt. And, I checked out some of their other work too, like Facelift, and this is definitely a band I want to continue to, dive deeper into because I really enjoy their music. Now, grunge was never really my thing, and, that could be another reason why I had a hard time getting into them, but I don't know, maybe it's just the mindset that you have to have with certain bands. I know the mindset you have with some music is definitely something that plays a factor. That is something that will help you enjoy bands more, especially when you have that mindset, a specific mindset, and realize, what this band has done for this genre and that genre, I mean, Alice in Chains are just, they're by far my favorite grunge band, and, well, they're also the only grunge band that I'm into right now, but I'm definitely interested in checking out all their other work. By far, my favorite Alice in Chains album is Facelift. But yeah, definitely a band I'd recommend even if you're not a fan of grunge because, well, this is coming from someone that isn't really big on grunge either. So, hey, you never know. So yeah, Alice in Chains, great band. Glad I got into them. Alright, so next up we got the band Yes. Now, Yes was always, well, not always, but a band that I was often interested in diving into because, well, I just had a crave for progressive rock, since I was really big on Rush a lot throughout the year and even the last portion of 2018. I was a huge Rush fan and still am a huge Rush fan. Probably always will be, but and I heard that, Yes was pretty similar to Rush, since they're also progressive rock, similar to them. And yeah, Yes is definitely very similar to Rush. I do think Rush is a little bit heavier. I don't know if that's just me, but that's kind of how I feel about them, Yes is a little more poppy, I guess, but not in a bad way. But yeah, Yes is definitely an excellent band. I mean, they were also one of the first rock bands to come around, well, at least as far as the late 60s goes, because they released their first couple of albums in the late 60s, I believe, and I mean, these guys are the pioneers of prog in general, not just prog rock, prog metal, just prog metal or prog rock in general. It's just the whole prog concept, that whole idea was founded by Yes, is basically what I'm saying. But yeah, Yes is definitely a great band. I only have 3 of their albums right now, but that is definitely something I plan to change. I don't think I'll get all their albums, mainly because, well, I heard that the stuff that they came out with in the 90s and the 2000s are not very good. Now, I'd probably have to listen to them for myself to, have an opinion for myself. But as far as what people have been saying, I mean, that's really the era. Those are just the eras where the band really fell off, I guess. But their 70s and 80s stuff, I hear are really good, and by far, from what I'm hearing from them, as far as those eras goes, I mean, definitely great stuff. I've been really enjoying the crap out of these guys. I mean, if you're a fan of Rush, this is definitely a band you're going to want to check out for sure. And I would recommend Yes to pretty much any music fan in general. I mean, definitely an excellent band, and I'm glad I got into them. And they're another band I'm going to continue to look into because I am still kind of new to them. Because I've only heard like very few albums, just a handful of albums right now, but I do want to look into them more. Definitely an excellent band from what I've been hearing, so Yes is definitely a band that had to make the list. Alright, so next band up, we got Fates Warning. Now, the thing is with Fates Warning, I don't listen to them as much as I do the other bands on the list, but I still do like them. They're a great band. Now, these guys are actually one of the pioneers of progressive metal, while Yes were the pioneers of progressive rock. But yeah, Fates Warning was one of the pioneers of progressive metal. I mean, definitely a great band. I pretty much recommend these guys if you're any kind of fan of 80s style of heavy metal. I mean, these guys are totally up your alley if you're into bands like Iron Maiden, even, or even Judas Priest. Definitely a great band, though. Now, this is another band where I've only heard a handful of albums from, and yeah. I think I can come to a conclusion. By far, my favorite album by them is Parallels. Now, not sure how popular that opinion is, because I know that Parallels is their, I guess, commercial album or whatever, but I don't know. It's just been the album of theirs I've returned to the most. That album and A Pleasant Shade of Grey, actually, I really dig that album too, actually. But I also really like No Exit, which was my first Fates Warning album. But yeah, No Exit was actually the album that got me hooked onto the band, since it was recommended to me, of course, by my good subscriber, MJ Nation. But yeah, he wanted me to check out the Fates Warning album, No Exit, and I have to say I really enjoyed it. And yeah, I definitely consider myself a fan of Fates Warning now. Definitely a great band. Once again, if you're into any kind of 1980s style of metal, definitely give these guys a chance. These guys will not disappoint. I mean, everything from the musicianship to the vocals. I mean, Fates Warning is definitely a really good band. But yeah, now we're on to the fourth and last band on this list. Now, I did save this one for last on purpose, and here's why. This is the band that I've probably listened to the most this year. This is probably my most listened to band throughout all of 2019. And that band is Queensryche. Man, I've been really craving Queensryche throughout all of 2019. I mean, it's definitely been a big year for them too, since they came out with an album, entitled The Verdict, and I've been really enjoying the crap out of that album, especially recently. It was an album that I've always liked, even at first listen, but I think it's an album that I appreciate even more now. Like, I've gone back to it a lot recently. And, I mean, there's no other way around it. It's still my favorite album of 2019. I mean, this album is just, it's mind-blowing. It's a fantastic listen. definitely check it out. But yeah, the whole, well, not the whole Queensryche discography, but most albums I'm a fan of. Um, I like all their 1980s stuff. I like all their 90s stuff. Uh, Even though Q2K is a little iffy, there's still some good stuff on that album. But yeah. Now the 2000s, I do like the Tribe album, but when you get to albums like Operation Mindcrime 2, I mean, I actually didn't listen to that album until recently because I love the original Operation Mindcrime. It's maybe my favorite Queensryche album. And, you know, I was like, I'll go ahead and listen to the second one, you know, because I love the first one so much. And I mean, they really should have called it something else because I refuse to believe that it's a sequel. I mean, it's by far like maybe my least favorite Queensryche album as far as what I've heard so far. Obviously, I haven't heard everything from Queensryche yet. Right now, the only ones I haven't heard are Frequency Unknown and Dedicated to Chaos, which I hear are their weakest albums. And from the few songs that I have heard from each album, yeah, I mean, I have no doubt about that. They're probably their weakest, but man, I was not gonna lie, I was really disappointed with Operation Mindcrime 2. What they should have called it was Otpoor, Poor, Asian Mindcrime 2. But yeah, it's a terrible album. Definitely a huge misstep from the first one. I mean, it's not even comparable, but yeah. I'm sorry, I couldn't talk about the 2000s era without mentioning Operation Mindcrime 2. I mean, avoid it at all costs. Now, the album American Soldier, I do like a little bit. It's obviously not one of their best. It's a little boring, but I can't say that it's a bad album or anything. But I would say that the best albums from Queensryche are The Warning, Promised Land, Operation Mindcrime, of course, and probably Empire. But yeah, those albums are just fantastic. I mean, if you're wanting to start with a Queensryche album, if you're, you know, new to Queensryche, wanting to start off with one of their albums, I would either recommend The Warning or Rage for Order, or even Operation Mindcrime. Now, Rage for Order was actually my first Queensryche album. That was really the album that got me hooked, and yeah, definitely a great album. If you're a fan of Iron Maiden or any kind of 1980s metal, I think Queensryche is definitely a band that's up your alley, for sure. Now, I know there are debates on, you know, I guess who's better, Todd La Torre or Geoff Tate, Geoff Tate being the original vocalist. I do prefer Geoff Tate overall than Todd La Torre, but as far as in more recent time, definitely Todd La Torre, but yeah. I think everything with Todd has been fantastic, though. But yeah, Queensryche, I mean, I can go on and on about Queensryche, but yeah, I mean, just awesome bands. I don't think that they're a good band. I don't think that they're a great band. I'd say they're an awesome band. I mean, I've been returning to these guys a lot throughout 2019. They're hands down my most listened to band of 2019, for good reason, too. I mean, this is a band that I recommend to anyone. Whether you love hard rock or heavy metal, definitely check out Queensryche. They're an awesome band. Definitely can't go wrong with them. Other than a few albums, of course. But yeah, Queensryche, just, I mean, what do I need to say that hasn't already been said? Excellent band. Well, there you go, guys. That is a list of all the bands that I got into in 2019. Now, like I said, this list is a lot shorter than my list for 2018. I don't know. I guess I just, you know, got into more bands in 2018. I guess I had that drive more in 2018 than I did in 2019. And once again, that could be because of all the newer releases that came out. because, well, 2019, I mean, there's been an overwhelming amount of stuff, so I think that's something that could play a factor too, but yeah. But yeah, all four of these bands that I mentioned are great. Definitely check them out if you're not familiar with them. You never know, you won't be disappointed, you never know. But that's my list, guys. Let me know what you guys think, and also let me know what bands you got into in 2019. I'm curious to know about that too. So yeah, I guess we'll see what bands I get into in 2020 because, well, I usually do get into a new band every year, and there's bands that I am looking to get into. Those bands being Avenged Sevenfold, Def Leppard, and a few others. But yeah, that's it for my video, guys. Thanks for watching, and take care.